All called to order. Roll call. Geiger.
Present.
Meek.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Myers.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Williams here. Weiniger.
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving into DCSD Spotlight.
Okay, well, good evening, board directors. I'm going to go a little out of order and bring the kids up first, and then we're going to talk about you guys, which I know you love to do. I was kidding, just for the record. All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here this evening. It's really great that we are able to take time to celebrate our schools, and we really appreciate everyone who came out for us to do so. This past December, Legacy Campus ProStart students took both first and second place in the Colorado Egg Producers Brunch Reinvention Competition. There were 60 participants in this statewide competition, and we'd love to have everyone come join us up front. I'm going to call their names, and so, here they come. Come on up front, and maybe you can wave as I call your name. Come on up. Let's give them a round of applause for first and second. All right, if you guys can wave when I say your name, that would be great. Our second place team was student Caitlin Albert, along with culinary instructor Anna Hirschauer. And then first place, I feel like I need a drum roll. All right. Oh, thank you, Mr. Windsor. McKenny Gershovich and Taya, did I get that right, Taya? Taya Ramuson, now I'm trying too hard, Rasmussen, along with our own chef, Seamus O'Brien. So congratulations. And we also have Rex Kaur, Director of Legacy Campus, and Gordon Mosier, who is our Executive Director of Schools. So I would love to have all of you talk about, I know you guys are so proud of the kids, and I'd love to have you talk a little bit about the program and the competition and the kids, and then I'd love to have the girls talk as well. So I'll start with you, Mr. O'Brien.
Oh, thank you.
Chef O'Brien.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks for having us. Fantastic opportunity for the students to get involved through the Colorado Egg Producers, the Colorado Restaurant Foundation, as well as Legacy Campus to get involved in recipe creations. And Morning Story Restaurant was the one that kind of reached out to those two, or the three of us. So we were very proud of the students to be able to not only get involved with it, but also have the ability within the Colorado Restaurant Foundation to do that. So our first place dish, we just got some data back on Friday from Morning Story. They sold 683 of their entrees in that 1 month time frame that they highlighted that on the menu, which is really cool. It was the number one Benedict sold on their menu. And it was a total gross sales for that restaurant program of $13,000 in a month's time, which is really cool. So we're very proud of that. Portion of that was donated back to the Colorado Restaurant Foundation, which went directly to ProStart, which we're very proud to have on campus at Legacy Campus. I think that's really all I have to say. Let Anna talk about Caitlin's dish, in the program.
Yeah. So at Legacy Campus, we have 2 years in our programming. So Caitlin is in our first year program where she completed ProStart 1 her first semester, and she's in ProStart 2 this semester. She's received her ServSafe food handler certificate. And one of my favorite parts of the competition was just getting to develop recipes with students. It's one of my favorite things to do, just get really creative, reinventing how we think about brunch, flavor pairings, plating. And so it was really just rewarding seeing Caitlin come up with a really creative dish, and the play on your sweet potato cup that you did, and just pairing different flavors from global cuisine, and trying your sauce that you made. It was really cool just to see your process and critical thinking and creating an amazing dish that tasted really good. Do you want to talk more about it?
Sure. I was really inspired by North African culture and shakshuka sauce, particularly. So I wanted to make a really interesting dish that would also taste good. So I thought I really expanded my flavor profiles. I had fun with it.
Would you girls like to talk? Yeah, do you just want us to talk about the dish? Or? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So,
And what it means to you.
yeah, so we created what we call the Campfire Benedict. And we kind of got the name because it starts with a blue corn waffle, so it's like the blue at the base of the fire. And then it goes up to like a chipotle hollandaise, so it's red. And it was just a really cool flavor profile. And for us to see how we can mesh flavors together and using like food trends like hot honey and things like that as well. Should I talk?
What does it mean to you?
Honestly, it means a lot to us for like a career field because we're able to get into the career field more, make more connections with everybody, and just work a lot more with our teachers on like developing all the recipes and working with like the restaurant, and it just was very helpful for just jump starting our careers and like getting involved.
And I'm sure Dr. Ford has something to say. Always. Raise your hand to a microphone.
Good evening, board. It's nice to join you. Here's what I'll tell you. When we launched Legacy just a year and a half ago, we had high hopes and we had big dreams, and we put the right instructors in place to do some incredible work, and we have the right students who just come in, and their level of engagement, their level of dedication every day to their own betterment and their own education, it's just fantastic to watch. And so to get the Legacy name out there in the state of Colorado and to see the success of our students, we're just extraordinarily proud of everything that they're accomplishing, and we look forward to what comes next.
All right, congratulations again. Directors Geiger and Moore are here with your certificates, and we're going to take a quick picture. Yeah, parents are welcome to come out and take photos. Absolutely. We're in the photo. Yeah, yeah. Did you know?
Gordon Fields come to
Everybody look over here, please. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Congratulations again, girls.
Thank you.
Okay, and secondly, it is Board Appreciation Month. So I just want to tell all of you, I was talking to a community member the other day, and I was explaining to them that the Board of Education members are the only unpaid elected officials in Douglas County, at least that I'm aware of. And you all spend so much time and you put your heart and soul into this. I know you all barely have time for your day jobs because you spend so much time thinking about our school district and thinking about the best interest of our kids. And I know that each and every one of our kids sits on your hearts, and I just cannot express not just my gratitude, but our entire system's gratitude that you are willing to step up, take the arrows, and lead this school district so that every child will be better because you were here. So I just can't thank you all enough. I think we all can't thank you enough. You do have a little something. You've got some DCSD wear, and what you have in your bag, thanks to the creativity of Miss Brockman, what you have in your bag is a DCSD luggage tag that is trackable. So you can, in the event that you tend to lose something like me, I never go through a day without losing something. So, but just know that we sincerely appreciate everything that all of you do so much. And you have certificates, and I'm literally going to make you come up here and take a picture. Oh yeah, come on up. And bring your certificates.
I do.
They're generally protected behind the dais.
I will zoom appropriately.
Just checking. I am definitely not. Oh my goodness, that's really funny.
Oh my God.
Can you make me look younger?
Hey, I'm too tall for some of this.
Which filter are we using?
The one that makes everybody look like they just came from vacation. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. All right, gotcha.
Thank you. Thank you so much. How about a big round of applause? We appreciate you guys so much. So that concludes our recognitions for tonight.
All right, moving on to the acceptance of the agenda. The recommendation is that the board approves the agenda as presented. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Weiniger, second by Geiger. Geiger?
Aye.
Meek?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Myers?
Aye.
Thompson?
Aye.
Williams? Aye. Weiniger?
Aye.
Passes 7-0. On to superintendent updates.
Okay, thank you. It is hard to believe, but we are coming up on February. I'm not even sure what happened to January, so time is flying. There are a lot of important dates and milestones in February that will be celebrated in our schools. I can't mention all of them, but here are a few. First and foremost, February is Black History Month. It is also Career and Technical Education Month, American Heart Month, National School Counseling Week is February 3rd through the 7th. Public Schools Week is February 24th through the 28th. National School Resource Officer Day is February 15th, and President's Day is February 17th. And in particular, you will see a lot of these celebrated, especially Black History Month, throughout our schools. We are excited to announce that our graduation rate in DCSD, as the board is aware of, has increased to 92.2% from 90.8% the year prior. And so, of course, we continue to be #1 in the Denver metro area, but it's always our goal to reach 100%. We want to make sure each and every student graduates. But we are really, really proud of this incredibly high graduation rate. It is the highest in our district in 15 years. I just want to thank our incredible educators and our families for partnering together to make sure that this happens for our students. Last week, I, Director Meek, and members of my cabinet had the absolute privilege of attending the 2025 Continental League Honor Music Festival. Always one of my favorite events of the year. I look forward to it every year. Seeing the talents of our high school students is incredibly rewarding and inspiring. Congratulations to every student across our 9 high schools who was selected to be part of this performance. And relatedly, this past Saturday after our board retreat, 100 musicians from all over our DCSD middle schools performed in the 9th annual DCSD Middle School Honor Ensemble at Castleview High School. It too was an incredible event. It's really inspiring to see our students and the incredible talent they have. I would like to congratulate all of the students who were selected to perform in this incredible event. I also would like to underscore our incredible music teachers throughout our district and our incredible music directors who give of their time to make these events possible for students. Our high school music directors and our middle school music directors have been spending nights and weekends, and we're just so grateful for them. And I know attending both of those events really underscored the importance of preserving and providing these incredible opportunities for our students. The nomination window is open for the Outstanding Youth Awards. This award recognizes teenagers between 13 and 19 who have overcome personal adversity and created positive change in their lives. The Youth Awards focus on teenagers who have triumphed over great odds and serve as inspirations and role models. I know when we go to the awards ceremony, there is not a dry eye in the house. If you know any young people who would make great candidates, please submit nominations by March 4th on the Douglas County Youth Initiative website. A huge congratulations to Jonathan Dalby and Eric Sell from Mountain Vista High School for being named the U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Association's Girls Cross Country Co-Coaches of the Year. As you may remember, we celebrated our girls recently, and now their coaches have been named Co-Coaches of the Year. So congratulations to these incredible people who dedicate their time to our kids. And as you may recall, these two coaches led the Golden Eagles through an undefeated postseason and finished it off with a win at the Nationals in Oregon. Way to go. The Denver Nuggets hosted several DCSD Unified Sports teams during halftime of recent games. How fun is that? Unified Sports is a Special Olympics program that joins people with and without intellectual disabilities on the same team. Congratulations to our unified athletes from Castleview, Chaparral, Legend, and Ponderosa for taking to the court at Ball Arena and showing off their talents. Next, it is Wish Week time for some of our high schools. We are definitely getting into Wish Week season. All across the district, our feeder areas are amping up to support Wish Week kids. Assemblies, movie nights, dances, sporting events, and a full array of incredibly unique and fun events that have been purposely planned to bring the entire feeder area together for a common cause. I was recently in, Legend High School, and they had all the decorations up for Wish Week. One of the most amazing things about Wish Week is it's truly a week when high school students are focusing on someone other than themselves, right? They're just really focusing on the needs of these children, and it is amazing how they put everything into it. And it is maybe one of the coolest things our area feeders do together for the entire year. The Clear Sky Elementary community recently donated card games, journals, stress balls, crafts, board books, Lego sets, Play-Doh, Matchbox cars, and headphones to kids at Children's Hospital. We're really proud of Clear Sky's service to our community. The DCSD Spelling Bee will take place this Saturday, February 1st at the Legacy campus. If you haven't been to a spelling bee, they are really, really fun, and it's fascinating. And frankly, I'm not sure I could spell most of the words that when you start to get to the end. It is absolutely incredible how talented the participants are. So good luck to all of our participants in the spelling bee. Finally, the annual Girls and Women's Sports Luncheon. I know that's one of everyone's favorites as well. That will be happening on Friday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, at the Legacy campus. It's an amazing event celebrating our girls and women in sports, and we are really excited to host that event once again this year. That is it for superintendent updates. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 8, which is public comment. Tonight, 3 minutes will be allotted for each speaker. Please remain respectful and address the board rather than guests or staff in the room. And please also keep comments appropriate for a K-12 audience. We will start with our remote comments, beginning with Kathy Boyer, Jordan Hayes, and then Jennifer Peiniger. Kathy Boyer.
Good evening, board. My name is Kathleen Boyer, and I live in Highlands Ranch. While doing some research today to create this public comment, I looked up the definition of transgender. I looked up gender dysphoria. I found dictionary definitions, and I found references from the American Psychological Association. I found that gender dysphoria is in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, known as the DSM-5. I found that after transitioning, a person is no longer considered to have gender dysphoria. That means that the treatment is to transition. I read a bit about intersex conditions such as Klinefelter syndrome, Turner syndrome, and androgen insensitivity syndrome, in which anatomical, chromosomal, or gonadal sex varies in some way from what would typically be considered male or female. That means that at birth, a baby's chromosomes might not match their external appearance, or that their genitalia may not be typically male or female. Ancient Jews had terminology for 8 different genders. Researchers have found well over 100 instances of diverse gender expressions in Native American tribes. For as long as history has been recorded, gender diversity has been found in cultures all over the world. Then I looked up the term gender ideology. I didn't find scholarly articles by people with doctorates who've studied this. I didn't find a description of the very long and complex history of gender diversity. I did not find reference to school curriculum. So-called gender ideology does not exist. It is not a thing. It is not a subject that is researched by professionals, and it is not a school subject that can be taught. The term gender ideology was made up to sow fear and hatred and division. So when considering curriculum or what should or shouldn't be mentioned in public schools, please keep in mind that trans people exist, gender dysphoria exists and is treatable, and gender diversity is not new and is not unique to modern America. These are facts. So-called gender ideology is not.
All right, thank you. Moving on to Jordan Hayes and then Jennifer Peiniger.
Hello, my name is Jordan Hayes. I want to thank you for your time and your what you're doing here in this consolidation road that we have ahead of us. I wanted to publicly introduce myself because I have been emailing and I have already spoken to Superintendent Kane and some of her cabinet. But I just wanted to put a voice to the emails and the name. So I am a mother at Saddle Ranch Elementary School. I just wanted to put forth that we are a sustainable community and a sustainable building. And I'm speaking tonight to represent my community. Jonathan Haidt, in his book, Anxious Generation, has demonstrated an importance of what is called a playborhood. And I wanted to express that we live in Indigo Hills and what surrounds the surrounding neighborhoods of our school is a playborhood, meaning that we are creating resilient children by allowing them to go out and play. What is at the heart of our community is our school. And I wanted to express and help you understand the slides that I've presented with you in email, that we have an organic community that fosters a sense of community that should be fostered and not replaced. What I mean by all of this is a solution. We want Saddle Ranch to become a solution of a welcoming community and to be a host school, to be paired and married into, because we know that we will be welcoming. And I know that this may open the floodgates for others to present a welcoming community, but I just wanted to represent us at this time, that we are organic and that what we put forth in our community is not simply put in place by decree. It is an organic community that blooms out of our Saddle Ranch School.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Peiniger, and then we'll move to in-person.
Can you hear me?
We can, go ahead.
Okay. So I have seen an email that was sent out to the Castle Rock High School families about the immigration raids, and I have some questions. So according to the email, it states that there will be no change in current practices related to entering our schools to detain or remove a student for local law enforcement. And it goes on to talk more about that. But then on the next page, it says that in the very unlikely event that a representative from the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, were to come to a Douglas County School District school to remove a student based on immigration status, the school administration should follow the same process as they would if the Department of Human Services or other agency arrived at a school to take custody of a student. And it says that you all would contact the legal department and they would review any removal orders to ensure that the student may be legally released to the agency. So I guess I'm just a little bit confused. if ice is going to be allowed onto school grounds, into classrooms, and what the process for that would be, because the Denver public school system has released a really drastically different policy in regards to ice coming to schools. And so I think there needs to be like a lot more clarity for me to understand that we wouldn't be allowing ice into our children's classrooms to take our children's classmates in front of our children. And so I don't feel relieved by reading this guidance that the district has put out. In fact, I feel more more nervous than anything else that this isn't enough. And, I don't see as a nurse, I don't see teachers feeling like this is enough for them to feel empowered to protect the students that they come and work with every day. And I think you all really should be taking more of the approach that the Denver Public is, because these students are just children. If their only crime is coming here looking for a better life, I don't think that's enough for me. And I think a lot of parents in the district would agree with me on that I don't think that this is enough. I think this is just a lot of double speak, honestly, a lot of gaslighting, kind of similar to what I've heard before about how Douglas County is here to protect all students, even though there's a Department of Justice investigation going on right now about open discrimination that's not being properly addressed. So the community needs more
15
than
seconds
this.
remaining.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving to in person, we'll start with Lucy Squire, and then Tom Yondorf and Fiona Boomer. Lucy?
Good evening, Board Directors and Superintendent Kane. I'm Lucy Squire, a current third grade teacher at Copper Mesa and proud president of Douglas County Federation, our local teacher and staff union. This is also my 20th year in the district, which means I have been through some things. I mention this specifically because this district really is a remarkable place to work and a reflection of the hard work and dedication of all of our staff members. We all share the same goal, which is to put students first. And so it is with the case with the challenging process of pairing schools. We all have the common goal of doing what is best for our students. There is no doubt that this is a difficult process to navigate. I want to commend you all in the approach thus far. You have been intentional and thoughtful in the decision to pursue school pairings. We, DCF, are not opposed to any school pairings because this ultimately is what is best for our students. However, there's also a point when the communication and collaboration between district planners and stakeholders breaks down. We want to acknowledge that in Douglas County, educators are at a clear disadvantage in this process compared to those in Jeffco or Littleton. We do not have collective bargaining or a contract that outlines a clear decision-making process. It has become a frustrating cycle for us educators. The district has an issue to address, and we have to create new parameters for collaboration every time. In this particular case, the district has been discussing school pairings for 3 years, but we, as staff members at the 16 elementary schools, were only included in discussions last month. The district created a school pairing staff committee, and they've only met twice before these policies were brought to the Board of Education. Do these committee members have the ability to meet and confer with their colleagues so they are acting as representatives of their schools? It is clear to see that the educators' opinions were not included in the first drafts of these policies because considerations specific to students and parents are stated, but there's nothing specific for teachers and staff. This is a big omission that offended many of us. As a reminder, teachers and staff have been instrumental in helping this board achieve its goals. During the last 2 election cycles, we worked with you to aid in passing the MLO and bond. We love our schools, we saw a need, we stepped up. And yet, in this case and many others, we have to beg you to be included in key decisions as educational experts. We have the same goal and we want to work together. I recognize that some of you are tired about hearing about collective bargaining, but it's something that is extremely important to us and we will continue to bring this up. It's one thing to say we will continue to take care of our teachers and staff. It's another thing to have this in writing and to collaborate with us on what this could mean. We know that you are promising staff commensurate positions once schools close. This promise has created many questions and ideas from educators on how exactly this will work. The same goes for parents, students, and community members. There are numerous ideas and suggestions if you would let us bring these ideas to the table. This past Sunday, DCF hosted a community forum where we met and conferred with over 150
15 seconds remaining.
to bring additional concerns and ideas to your attention, some of which you will hear tonight. Thank you in advance for listening to and considering our ideas. While we understand you may not have answers to every question now, we encourage you to work with all stakeholders to nail down solutions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Tom Yondorf and Fiona Boomer, and then Brianna Ranger.
Tom Yondorf, Castle Rock. I recognize some of your faces because you trained at my house to do the MLO kind of stuff, for which I am eternally grateful, because some of my still teaching colleagues got raises. Thank you. The most difficult of our teacher experiences in Douglas County began some 15 years ago when a new school board unleashed changes on the district without consultation with the public. Some of the results were it became harder for teachers to teach. Staff morale plummeted. Parents soon became very, very upset. District finances went south. And school board meetings here degenerated into food fights because some of the board members resented being asked questions by the public about what the hell they were doing. And teachers began leaving our schools in droves. Why? Because there is more respect for teachers in Cherry Creek and other school districts, as you know if you're paying attention to teacher retention data, which we're all concerned about. So today, as you know, increasing numbers of teachers have concerns about the school closure process. It's a question for many of us of this respect for teachers' questions. Their concerns and ideas are about these events, which are going to have a tremendous impact on our lives, obviously. But we feel that we are an afterthought, and though there is lip service to soliciting teacher input, it's not really happening. That's the impression that I'm getting from talking to fellow teachers. I looked it up under Google. How do you do a really good school closure process, which many people are concerned about? And the answer is solicit input from all of your stakeholders. Teachers. Why not teachers? Of course. If you involve the key stakeholders, then we can argue with one another, bring up our concerns to one another, and we can hash them out. And most important, when it's time for when the changes happen, when the closures take place, when kids are being put on buses or not, I don't know, all the difficulties.
15 seconds remaining.
People will come to those events with a sense of having participated in the decisions. And for goodness sakes, teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Fiona Boomer, Brianna Ranger, and then Lacey Gansey.
Hello, tonight I will be giving comment on behalf of Ann Burke, who is a DCSD teacher. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Ann Burke, and I am a 5th grade teacher at Fox Creek Elementary and proud member of DCF, our teachers union. I want to acknowledge the difficult and important work the district is doing as it navigates the challenges of school closures and consolidations. While we understand these decisions are not easy, I do have some concerns about the process outlined in the proposed policies FCB and FCBR. I want to thank you for your thoughtfulness in this process, but at the same time, I want to remind you it is essential that decisions are made with transparency, clear communication, and active community involvement to ensure they reflect the needs of both our students and educators. After attending DCF's community forum this past Sunday, the many district hosted meetings, both virtual and in person, and hearing from a multitude of members of the East Highlands Ranch area, it is clear that many folks are feeling a disconnect with the district due to a lack of clarity and streamlined practices. Until January, there was no formal countywide communication with educators and parents about potential school pairings, and only recently has the district begun soliciting feedback. This delay may pose a risk to undermining trust and engagement with all stakeholders. Moving forward, I'm hoping we continue to refine and communicate a clear, robust plan to ensure all voices are heard, particularly given that the decisions made in Highlands Ranch will set a precedent for the rest of the district for many years to come. Additionally, as a member of the staff committee that President Lucy Squire mentioned earlier, I'd like to express concern about the limited opportunities the committee has had to actively shape the plans. It would be helpful to have more clarity on the committee's role, impact, and greater opportunities for engagement and action. Giving the committee a stronger voice would ensure it truly reflects the input of staff, rather than simply serving as a formal step in the process. I do not take my responsibility on this committee lightly. I want to be able to represent my colleagues in a meaningful way because we deserve a seat at the table. The district must allow for longer review periods to give people time to understand and respond to proposals. Maybe even allow educators to submit proposals of their own as it would work with collective bargaining. Regarding staff retention, the district's promises to offer commensurate positions to those affected by school closures must be clearly defined. I truly feel like there is a need and desire from our community and stakeholders to understand exactly what commensurate means and how this will be implemented, especially in light of the statewide teacher shortage. My colleagues have great ideas on how to handle this issue and the many others that come with school pairing. Give us the space to bring these proposals forward. Finally, regarding the future use of closed school buildings, we urge the district to consider creative, community-driven solutions for these spaces, whether that be for preschools, special education programs, or community centers. We should be asking the community for their input on this. They know what they need. In conclusion, these policies will have a lasting impact on the entire district for many years to come, and it's essential that this process be transparent and inclusive of the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Brianna Ranger, Lacey Gansey, and Kelly Mayer.
Good evening, members of the board. Tonight, I want to address how our district's mission to provide an educational foundation that allows each student to reach their individual potential is falling short for students with disabilities, particularly twice exceptional students. First, while school choice is a valuable tool for many families, it is being weaponized against children with disabilities. Too often, when parents advocate for their child during the IEP process, they are told, if you're not happy, you can choose another school. In my son's case, they were predetermining before the IEP evaluation even began. Rather than provide appropriate supports and services at the family's school of choice, families are encouraged to leave. This approach shifts responsibility to parents and excludes children who deserve to be supported, not pushed out by the very people tasked with helping them. Every child must have access to an education that fosters their potential without barriers. Second, the improper use of seclusion is harming students. My 6-year-old son, a gifted child with autism and ADHD, was left alone in a classroom with 3 adults during an autistic meltdown. One adult shut the door, escalating his fear response, including his urge to escape. My son was then suspended for hitting the person who closed the door. While I don't condone his actions, punishing disability-related behaviors only reinforces them. His FBA showed his behaviors are escape-driven, and suspensions only give him the escape he is seeking, perpetuating the behaviors instead of teaching skills for self-regulation and safety. They used his giftedness against him, and this is happening again just a few weeks later. On another occasion, he was placed by himself with the door closed in the tree room, something I only learned about later from him. Since then, he has developed separation anxiety and now screams and searches our home and when I leave the room, even for just a moment. Despite my advocacy, my concerns were dismissed and my family had to leave our school of choice to avoid further trauma. Just days after leaving, my son told me that his autism was a bad boy. My family is not alone in this experience. Families across this district have faced similar situations, which contradict our mission to provide a supportive and safe learning environment for every child. While I appreciate the recent efforts to remove seclusion rooms, these harmful practices persist in practice. To fulfill our mission, we need comprehensive staff training, oversight to ensure transparency, and accountability when schools fail to meet students' needs. My child deserved better. And he is not alone. It starts at the top with this board setting clear expectations based on proper practices and a commitment to parents to hold schools and personnel accountable so that my child and others like him can turn around and instead say, I matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Lacey Gansey and then Kelly Mayer.
Lacey's stuck in traffic.
Okay, Kelly?
Good evening, Board Directors and Superintendent Kane. My name is Kelly Mayer. I'm a longtime resident of Douglas County and mom of many current and former DCSD students. I am speaking for myself tonight. Over 2 years ago, Superintendent Kane announced a 3 to 5 year deep dive into special education to ensure students with IEPs and 504 plans receive the support that they need to thrive. This initiative was a critical step in addressing the unique challenges faced by students with disabilities. However, our community has seen a lack of communication and updates on its progress. Recent data shared at the Board of Education retreat revealed that students with disabilities are not meeting expectations in reading and writing on the SAT and are only approaching expectations in math. These results highlight an alarming academic gap for this group. We are asking the board to prioritize transparency and provide regular updates on the status of the special education initiative. We want to know what progress has been made, what strategies are being implemented, and how we can work together as parents, educators, and advocates to address these disparities. Our children deserve an equitable, high-quality education that prepares them for success. It's time for consistent communication and decisive action to ensure all students, regardless of disability, can reach their full potential. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen Iverson. And then Lacey, if she makes it in time.
I appreciate that. Tonight I'm speaking on behalf of Douglas County parents. Recently, DCSD has made 2 significant moves, first posting updates to Board Policy JKA on seclusion and restraint, and second exploring the possibility of implementing a dyslexia screener. These conversations are a big deal, and while we're not quite there yet, we're encouraged by the district's forward momentum. The long-awaited update on policy JKA is one of those moves. For years, we've seen the harmful impacts of seclusion and restraint and sought better alternatives. It's encouraging to see DCSD's BOE taking proactive steps to revise their policy. It's not just about making changes on paper. It's about ensuring a safer, more respectful environment for every student. This update shows the district is paying attention to concerns, including the paused investigation by the Department of Justice. We believe this is a crucial step towards creating a more supportive environment, and we hope the conversations continue to improve outcomes for students. Colorado remains one of only 7 states without a statewide dyslexia screener. Legislation for a mandatory screener has stalled for 7 years. While we're still waiting on the state to act, it's promising that this Saturday's BOE retreat included conversations around the imminent need for a dyslexia screener. We witnessed some pushback, understandably so, considering the cost and the logistics, especially in a year when the district is facing a $16 million budget cut in state cuts. But here's the reality. The longer schools wait to intervene, the greater the cost, both financially and emotionally, for students. Early identification of dyslexia can make all the difference. If the district catches early, catches it early, remediation is more affordable and effective. If not identified until after third grade, the costs grow exponentially. And it's not just about money. It's about the toll on the child's self-confidence and mental health. We know implementing a dyslexia screener might come with upfront costs, but the case for early intervention is clear. The earlier schools catch these issues, the more likely students are to get back on track without years of extra work, frustration, and the inability to participate in extracurricular activities. But beyond the financial costs, it's the emotional cost that weighs heavily. When children are struggling with undiagnosed reading issues, their self-esteem and mental health suffer, often leading to even greater challenges down the road. Early intervention isn't just the right choice for kids. It's the right choice for our community. By addressing these needs up front,
15 seconds
we
remaining.
can save money, save time, and most importantly, the well-being of our students. We understand the hesitations, but we believe DCSD can and should take this step, even in the face of budget cuts. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes public comments. Moving on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion concerning consent? Director Meek.
Yes, I would like to pull item number 19, and then I can make a motion to approve consent agenda with 19 removed.
Second. Motion by Meek, second by Geiger. Geiger?
Aye.
Meek.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Williams. Aye. Weiniger.
Aye.
Great, passes 7-0. And so we will talk about item 19, which is our Board of Education meeting schedule for the 25-26 school year.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. I think last year we approved this in April, so this is a little earlier, which I think is helpful to get on people's calendars. I don't know if we need to approve this evening or not, but during our board budget conversation, I'd like to talk about the possibility of having us pull our board committees together to give us feedback. We've done that in the past, but we haven't done it in recent years. And that feeds into board retreat dates. And I noticed there are retreat dates on here. And I don't think we typically schedule out retreats like they're posted on this. So I'm just curious if these are intentional days on here. So just opening up the conversation.
Yeah, thank you for the question. We are proposing dates based on what you've done in the past in terms of retreats. It doesn't matter to us if we take the retreats off or not. But as you said, Director Meek, our thinking was that people could get the dates on their calendars as they're planning, vacations or whatever for next year. And so I had sent this to you guys, I think a few weeks ago. And anyway, we're open to any and all changes. They're just proposed dates.
Yeah, thank you for that clarity. So the other thing, I think when we talk about potential uses of board budget, at the end of our meeting, I did want to talk about potentially, bringing our board committees together, different ideas for ways we might want to structure our time and resources. So if it's okay with everyone, I'd like to maybe suggest that we postpone this agenda for at least a month, so we can have the conversation at the end of this meeting to think a little bit more about what we might want to do retreat-wise.
I personally am good with that, especially the retreats. Sometimes I know that we kind of sometimes do them a little bit more spur of the moment, and that's not probably always the best plan, but sometimes it's what works. So yeah, I'm in favor of moving it for a month while we discuss this.
Oops, sorry, one other comment. I don't believe we list our work sessions on this document. It's really just the regular meetings, correct?
They're both, it looks like.
They
on
are
there.
both?
Yeah, it says regular study sessions.
So the study session is the work. Okay. I'm wondering, I know we also have lunch and learns that happen. So I wonder if just mentioning that there are additional opportunities where the board gets together and where to look for that information might be helpful if this is tweaked, just for transparency purposes.
If the board would like, we are happy to put holds on this calendar for, a number of lunch and learns that maybe 3 or whatever it is. And again, if the dates change, but at least it's something that everyone can get on their calendars between you guys and us, and we can be transparent. So we're happy to do that.
Yeah, even if we don't have the topic, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Just Director Moore.
Director Meek, is it your recommendation that we present this draft to our committees prior to the next board meeting for feedback, or do that offline separately?
Yeah, I was going to talk about that
Okay.
when we bring that up, but I would like to get our board committees to weigh in. I don't think, there's more Saturdays on this calendar than I think we should plan. It's a heavy lift, not just for board members, but for staff that have to support that. And, bless you, one of my other ideas was really going to be to invest a little bit in some board development where potential, and this is a later agenda item, but I'd love to see us do fewer retreats by being more efficient. And I think professional development might help us a little bit in that area. So, long answer. Let me circle back to what Director Moore was asking. If we agree that it would make sense to bring our board committees together, I would like to ask them for their feedback on potential dates so we can make it happen. I know that's something every year when we set agenda, board committee priorities, we always talk about how great it would be to get the committees together to provide feedback, but we just haven't made that happen in recent years.
Yeah, I actually know when we went to Stone Canyon, right? We actually talked to Jolie about maybe hosting over the summer for our retreat this coming year. So we did talk about that. Director Geiger.
And I don't know how many, perhaps Director Meek, when I was on LRPC, we did, I think, 3 where we invited all the committees down there and met and had discussions, and bluntly, it didn't always go great, but I thought it was occasionally extremely helpful. So I would move, I think what we need to do is table this agenda item for probably the second meeting in February.
We only have one.
Okay, probably first meeting in March. And then communicate with our board committees if they want to come see us. And then also look at how we maybe move one of these Saturdays that way.
Is that a motion?
I move to table this agenda item to the first meeting in March.
Second.
Motion by Geiger, second by Meek. Geiger.
Aye.
Meek.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Williams. Aye. Weiniger.
Aye.
Passes 7-0. All right, moving on to item number 24, the approval of minutes. The recommendation is that the Board of Education approves the minutes from the regular meetings held on December 10th and January 14th, and from the retreat held on December 4th. Do I have a motion to approve those meeting minutes?
Moved.
Motion by
Second.
Moore, second by Myers. Geiger?
Aye.
Meek?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Myers?
Aye.
Thompson?
Aye.
Williams? Aye. Weiniger?
Aye.
Great, passes 7-0. And we will move into the policy governance section, starting with the superintendent monitoring report on executive limitation 5, communication and support to the board.
Okay. So this is a monitoring report on one of the executive limitations. I have to get my glasses to read along with you, sorry. We were not going to read it to you, but we thought we could just ask if there are any questions on the interpretations, and then talk about the metrics that we used in order to have evidence of the executive limitations. And So the first part here, you can skip through the first part. It just says the executive limitations. It has the whole thing. Okay, whoops, yep, thank you. We're gonna go to 1. Okay, so information sharing, so this is communication with the board. So information sharing, the superintendent shall ensure that relevant information is shared promptly in an organized manner without withholding or obscuring critical updates. Regular status report are provided on the board's governance expenditures, instructional program resources, and developments in the educational landscape. Timely submission of monitoring data, so we have an interpretation for that. Advising on policy changes, and communication with the state and stakeholders. Administrative support and documentation, fair and transparent interaction with the board, compliance with legal requirements, board decision implementation, policy review and recommendation, and strategic planning. So I want to start with, are there any kind of questions or comments on the interpretations?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, we've got our pens ready. No. Okay, on the evidence for compliance. So Mr. Blair, you can just keep scrolling other way. Thank you. Okay, thank you, right there. So evidence of compliance, we've got meeting minutes and agendas, the monitoring reports that we're in the process of changing right now, regular superintendent updates, including media stories, district events, policy changes, specific topics, legal updates, responses to parent community concerns, community engagement opportunities, and then survey and poll results. So documentation of stakeholder feedback on major decisions, you can kind of see that. And then some other examples of those in terms of engagement. And then if you want to keep going, calendar recommendation, which, you know, will go better in March, but it was a recommendation. And in terms of the calendar, of course, for the school district, the other surveys, board policy, feedback, administrative support, strategic plan, and development, growth and decline. And then finally, the board memos that are not legal memos are linked on here, and board presentations. Lots. Okay, policy revisions. And there we go. So are there any comments on the report or the metrics? We're certainly open to your feedback.
Great job. Director Meek.
Really appreciate all of this information, and this is kind of getting into the idea that I was going to talk to at the end a little bit on us spending time on, you know, metrics that might be helpful for us. This is a wonderful start. I think this is a challenging one because it's communication to the board, right? And there's lots of data and there's lots of information, but as we talked about with our board ends, you know, having that rationale with a metric, right? And so trying to think how to put a metric. I do know a lot of times superintendents might survey the board members and ask the board for feedback. And the board, and so a metric could be, you know, compliance will be demonstrated when at least 90% of board members report through an annual survey they receive timely and relevant decision information. You know, decision information. I mean, that's just an example, but I feel like that's kind of a conversation maybe we should have if we feel like that's important or not important. And I think that's just a larger conversation. I think this is a great start. I think this is wonderful. I don't want us to ask for more work than we need to. So, you know, and I think ideally when these are working the way we want them to work. Like tonight's whole agenda is really monitoring. They're meant to be kind of written reports that we would get, and they're transparent and they're public, but it would free up time of board meetings. We wouldn't have to do retreats on Saturdays. So this one I think is just a little challenging because we don't really have surveys in place. And we've talked about surveys in place for some of the other monitoring, but we've never really talked about whether the board might want to weigh in saying, yes, I feel like I've received, timely information. So I'm rambling, but that's the professional development that I was thinking might be helpful for the board to have conversations. What do we need to feel like we can give the superintendent confidence that she's giving us the monitoring that we'd like to see? So that was my only really recommendation, is whether there are any metrics that would make sense. And I think oftentimes it would be perhaps a survey, and that would be kind of a simple 3-question survey to the board where you could say, this is how the board has responded. I know our board budget updates weren't happening the whole year, but I definitely appreciate that it now has become a routine, and I think we'll have a conversation later, and that'll be really helpful. So I'm really happy that that's in place. And that was really my only recommendation on this one, is whether the board might want to receive a 3-question survey ahead of time around whether we feel like this is being met.
Director Weiniger.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like communication is one of your strong points, and I agree that you're in compliance with this limitation. Thinking on the survey idea, I feel like it would be more beneficial, because now that we won't have superintendent, what am I trying to say, reviews? Because I feel like a lot of those conversations at the review was like, oh, we'd like to see more of this in our updates and all that. Maybe the survey can be more about that, like what would we like to see more of, and how you're getting that for us. Because I think sometimes with communication, it's hard to say you're satisfied when it's like more about what we'd like to see more, and not so much like, oh yeah, you're doing a good job sending emails. But I like the idea of having that as a monitoring scale. But yeah, this is great. I know this takes a lot of time, not just from you, but your staff gathers this info and all the media stories. So yeah, this is a great report. And I agree with Director Meek that I'm glad we've gotten to a point where these are just a report. We don't have to spend like a whole slideshow on items. We can just look at the report and be satisfied with that. So thank you.
Director Thompson.
Thank you. Just to echo that, I agree, as well as like the quality of communication. You're not able to capture that through the reporting. So when we find communication like super effective and things like that, it would be nice to be able to report that back to you. The other thing I would say that I feel that happens with communication that just wasn't listed here are our one-on-one meetings with you. That is a big place where we get additional information, have questions answered, and I think representation of those one-on-one meetings would be fantastic to include in here.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
Director Geiger.
Again, people have no idea how often we communicate with you. And I appreciate all of this. I do think communication has been a strength and continues to improve. For the purposes of those members of the public who occasionally read this, it might help to have, before all the details, just a brief summary saying, I sent this many superintendent updates. We had this many one-on-one meetings. We prepared the monitoring reports, that kind of thing. But I think it would be helpful to the public to see up there at the top, this is how many times I, as a superintendent, communicated important issues to the board. Just a brief summary of the number of times. I think that would help people who perhaps are not going to click on every single link to know, just kind of, kind of an executive summary at the top. This is what we've done to communicate from the board. And, if I would be shocked if you didn't say that there's been 100 various superintendent updates in the year that I've been on the board. So I think sometimes just outright numbers help. And I'd answer a survey, so.
Dr. Meek?
I mean, I honestly don't think you have to list everything out here with all the links. I think, monthly one-on-ones happen with board members. I've met with, every board member, X percent, weekly updates are provided. I don't think you need to spend as much time listing out all the evidence. I think it's just some quantitative metrics and, the rationale why it's reasonable that a weekly update keeps the board members sufficiently updated with relevant and timely information. And so I think there's a way to not do as much work and provide us that content and maybe just have a really brief survey and simplify this one a little bit.
We would be all in favor of simplifying. So I just want to understand direction here. So we will simplify. I think the interpretation and rationale can get a lot smaller based on what I'm hearing here. Happy to do a survey. I think that's a really great idea. It never occurred to me, honestly, because I talk to all of you all the time. My question is, are we talking about those changes for next year? Or are you guys okay voting on this as it is, and then we talk about those changes for next year?
I would hate to see you eliminate this, but for next year, for
Yeah,
my
as
personal
one,
opinion. Yeah.
this is great. This is great, and I don't think there's a lot on everyone's plate, and that's why I think this is going to evolve as we move forward. But speaking as one board director, I think it's in a great place, and we just iterate from that.
Terrific. Goals for number 2.
Agreed. Anybody else? All right, great. Thank you.
Okay. I forget it.
All right, we're going to go to our recess, and then we'll come back and do the other monitoring reports. So we are going to go to recess, and we will be back at 6:20. All right, the meeting of the board is back in session where we'll continue with our policy governance section. Item 27, which is the superintendent monitoring report on End 1 academic excellence and life skills.
Okay, this board agenda was developed, of course, before the retreat took place. So we spent a great deal of time talking about the board ends and what a monitoring report could look like for all of the board ends, not just end number 1. And I think we agreed to, did we say January or February going forward? January. So this is number 1. And we have, we've had a lot of discussions about what number 2 would look like, which would include all ends. But this was based on the feedback that Director Meek gave us in the document and then at the retreat. And so I feel like maybe we should just ask if you have any questions, or do you want us to walk you through it?
I don't have any questions, but Director Meek.
Yeah, I appreciate all of the work on this and, all of the revisions that were made, and we were able to discuss it a little bit more at the retreat. So thank you all, both, for all of the work that's gone into this. I don't have any questions.
Yeah, I just love how it's all evolved. Great job.
Thank you. May I ask for a little clarifying question on this as well? So if you all are okay with this being round 1, and then round 2 will have a lot of additional layers that we talked about at the retreat, then I will put these on your consent agenda for February 11th, if that is acceptable to the board. Okay? Wow. All right, next one.
Great. All right, item 28, executive limitation 6.
Okay, this one is executive limitation 6, commitment to accomplishment and accountability. And you can see the 4 pieces of that, including the Unified Improvement Plan, district accountability and SACs, et cetera. If you continue to scroll, Mr. Blair, you can see our interpretation of each of those things along with the evidence of compliance. And as with the last one, I will happily take questions.
Director Thompson.
Thank you again for this report. The only place that I have questions, or I think might help to have information on, is for the Unified Improvement Plan. There's you guys set goals and action items and things within that plan, and just having the information about what goals were reached, et cetera, I think would be helpful.
Goals that were reached as far as, last year's goals that were reached, and then this year's goals, and maybe in a little summary.
Yeah, the goals or the action plans or however that ended up shaking out.
Thank you, that's good feedback. Okay, we will incorporate that, because I think we can do that pretty quickly.
Yeah, not necessarily for this time, but for the next round. And I think we used to do this years and years ago with this report in particular, was really having some metrics around the percentage of SAC percentage of SACs that attended training or retreat or any kind of specifics like that that might make sense. And so maybe this is a topic that DAC members could have a conversation around. Are there certain ways to track attendance at the forum? We have amazing numbers that have attended our DAC forums, but trying to just quantify some of the metrics around the work that's being done by the DAC and then the SAC participation rates, I think, would be really helpful.
Also, really good feedback. So we'll incorporate that one for next time.
Yeah, I would agree. SACs vary in strength. And so it would be, I think, helpful if we had some metric about if there was some measurement for SACs that have good attendance and that do not. I know that it's a struggle at some schools to get enough people participating in SACs. And so if we could have some feedback on what we're doing to encourage people to be in the SAC and to keep that organization going. Again, I don't think that, I'm not asking you to modify this. I think that would be an interesting piece of information for us to have in a future monitoring report.
Director Meek.
Yeah, I think the one other thing I would add, we did the satisfaction survey for the board committees. Do you remember we had at our retreat? And I do think there was some satisfaction data that was DAC specific. So it's probably in our files somewhere, but that's the kind of quantitative data that I think would be really helpful.
So one of the metrics that we certainly would add is we're just going to reach out to the SACs with a questionnaire. That would be something that we would add in kind of the next iteration of this. We just haven't administered yet, so.
I just think for this report in particular, before it goes on the consent agenda, there may be data that we could pull from this reporting cycle that would be relevant data to this. Because we had them do the survey. I know it was in the last year when we had our retreat and we had the board committee members there. I just think that's relevant data that could fit within this reporting cycle.
Question, if I may. So the DAC is your committee, the board's committee versus staff's committee. So that I would just like to state that for consideration. That's now maybe in the future as part of a survey, we can ask the DAC if they are satisfied with the staff facilitation of their work, but they are a board committee.
Yeah, for me, I would prefer like the SAC information would be helpful to have, but I don't know necessarily that we need the DAC stuff. That's my opinion. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great.
Shortest monitoring reports ever. And I want to thank all of you and Director Meek for all of the collaboration to try to kind of have all of us get into the groove of policy governance. So thank you.
Great. All right, we'll move into item 29, policy JKA, use of physical intervention and restraint for our third reading.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much. Since this is the third reading, we are available to answer questions. I think Deputy Superintendent Hyatt would like to give a little bit of an overview about making sure that we've answered questions, and then we're happy to take feedback. So.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Board of Directors. So I would like to just give kind of a summary update in terms of where we are with these policy updates since our last meeting, which was just 2 weeks ago. So if it is okay, I will address information on agenda item number 29, 30, and 31 in this summary update. So first of all, I just want to thank the Board of Education for all of the feedback and all of the support that we've worked through in terms of this really comprehensive review and updates of policy JKA, JKAR, and JKAE. This has been a process that we've been involved in over the course of the last 4 months since October, and I truly appreciate everybody's efforts that have been a part of this process. We're pleased with the work that has been done in this area and by our Board of Education, as well as the many educators, leaders, parents, and community members in order to make this policy reflective of the requirements of the law, as well as what's important in our communities. So just a huge thank you for and appreciation for everybody's efforts in this area. This is not always, this is definitely not easy work. As a previous special education teacher with a master's degree in supporting students with affective behavioral needs, this is definitely an area that is very near and dear to my heart as a professional educator. And so the work that's been done and the efforts in this area, I just am really pleased and appreciate everybody's hard work. So since the last review and discussion of this policy, there have been some minor adjustments to both the policy and the regulation. There have, however, been more substantial changes to the report form, which is JKAE, based on staff and Board of Education feedback. So in terms of JKA, as suggested from our last discussion, we did add a subsection to the policy around a central database. So that was in the regulation, and we did also include that in the policy JKA. So you will see that language reflected there. Additionally, we did clarify language around student accommodations, as you can see noted in red. We added as appropriate to the circumstances and consistent with the accompanying regulations. So there was that connection between the policy and the regulation. Additionally, we added some clarification in the language in JKA around transportation. We added in a reasonable manner, appropriate in the circumstance. I did want to let you know also, I followed up to confirm that in our contracts with our third-party providers for special transportation, there is a comprehensive expectation laid out in terms of supporting our students with disabilities and the training requirements in doing so. So that is a part of our contractual obligation with our third-party providers. So I wanted to give you all that update. In terms of JKAR, we added section C, number 11, in alignment with policy JKA. We did also align that accommodations language so that it's consistent with both JKA and is reflected in JKAR. We also more specifically and explicitly noted and referenced the completion of the form because that was not noted specifically as was pointed out in the discussion at the last Board of Education meeting. So we did specifically reference the completion of the form JKAE. And then staff is open to the feedback that has been provided around including the word review in the heading of the section F of JKAR, which is reporting, documentation, and review of incidents, because that is all covered in that particular section. In terms of JKAE, the report form, we did not redline that because it would have been very challenging to review in terms of changes. As I had mentioned at the last meeting, staff had already been working on some recommended adjustments to the form, and then your feedback at that last meeting helped us also to apply some of what input you gave us. And so JKAE is a very comprehensive reporting form. It's lengthy. It's much more lengthy than what our staff is currently used to, and that's okay because there are many elements that we need to ensure have appropriate documentation when it comes to matters that involve students in the utilization of restraint and seclusion. So that form is very comprehensive. Our staff has already begun working on a manual that provides additional guidelines, best practice, and all of those different areas. So that will be a critical part of our training that will come once the policy has been finalized. So our team is already working on that and is anxious to be able to get started with that once the board makes a decision on the policy. So those are just some highlights. We did get some community feedback, very little, and that to me indicates that there's hopefully a level of contentment by our community in terms of where we are with the policy. And of course, we reviewed that feedback as well and considered it. One was just an affirmation of the efforts. Appreciate hearing a little bit of that this evening as well. And so that is just the high-level summary of what I have on these policies.
So I just want to say thank you because I know this has been a very long process. You've been working on this for months and months and months and months. So thank you so much for taking the feedback, not just from us, but from the community. Just a question, how do you go about training after we put this policy in place?
So our team is very anxious to start the training process. Like I had just said, they have already created guidelines and draft kind of training materials in this area. And so I was just like, just give us a minute so we can make sure everything's confirmed. So what will happen next is then Executive Director Liza Meyer and I will meet with our behavior support team, our behavior support coordinator who oversees our behavior specialists, works with our autism team. We will come together to review and vet the training materials that have been drafted. And then, as I have mentioned previously, we have already a structure in place where on a monthly basis, our special education teachers, mental health providers, and others attend training, district-wide training. And so we will start that training process hopefully as soon as in February on the updates to the policy, the guidelines, the restraint form, and all of those types of things. And then this will be a process. It'll be a process that will start this spring. It will definitely be a part of our intensive training requirements for our center-based program staff that happens later in the summer. And then it will also happen going into the fall. Like, this is an ongoing process. We're never done with training, especially in this particular area. Additionally, in terms of administrators, once this policy is finalized, then I will take it to administrators for training at our upcoming district leadership team meeting so that we can start giving them the training that they need as they oversee this work that is happening within their schools.
Great. Director Moore, did you have something? Director Geiger.
First of all, our old policy, the one before we started on this, was simply not just not enough. It didn't reflect best practices. It didn't reflect the current thinking. And this, for those of you who don't know, this is a nationwide debate. There are states that have completely prohibited this kind of seclusion, who have taken that position. This is an ongoing discussion. I hope that this will once we adapt this, that this will put it aside for us for a while, and we'll figure this out. But this is a discussion that's going to continue. It's going to continue at the state level. I think we're ahead of the legislation now with this, and I hope we can continue to be. I cannot echo enough that I appreciate all the work that's been done, and bluntly, the patience that you've shown in doing it. I've had parents reach out to me individually and at the board meetings. I have had teachers reach out to me about their concerns about this, and that they're concerned that they will be limited on what they can do to respond to difficult students. Every time I meet with a principal, this issue comes up. And I just want to acknowledge that you are dealing with an incredibly challenging environment, trying to find threading a lot of very challenging needles with this. And I think the policy that we have now is better, is vastly better than what we've been doing. I look forward to hearing more about the training. I would be fascinated to hear an update sometime late next fall to hear about how it's going. So I'll just put that in here. The one that, as to the database, I think we're going to be faced with, coming from the state and perhaps from the feds, increasing requirements to maintain a database, to know what's going on, to be able to prove that we're following our policy. So I appreciate that that's in there. I think that's an important step. I did ask one question. When we have a police officer exercise restraint, obviously they're not our employees, we can't force them to do that. Does somebody else in the district fill out a form or notify a parent?
Yes, so anytime there is the utilization of a restraint with a student, that is not done individually by any means, right? There are up to 2, if not more, people that are involved in that circumstance. That's a part of our response. So if law enforcement were involved with staff that were a part of a restraint, then they would document in all of the ways that's required per the regulation, as well as the notification to the family as that's outlined in the regulation. So that would be required.
And as to our third-party transportation vendors, is part of our contract required that they report to us if they have to utilize restraint?
Yes.
Okay, so would they necessarily fill out the form, or would?
Our transportation department does utilize the same form for reporting.
Okay.
If I could respond to one thing you said, Director Geiger, that is something that I think we're going to be continually challenged with is as we implement elements of the regulation in our procedures, we just had a comprehensive team meeting late last week to review our data. We're going to ourselves identify things that we need to implement or adjust in the procedures so that we are continuing to evolve, et cetera, even in the data piece of it. And so by having the regulation be a board file, that makes it a little bit more challenging because we're not as agile with making adjustment that we need to make in the regulation based on the procedures that are outlined. So we're learning and we're going to enhance things. I can see that happening just based on the conversation we had as a team last week. And so I just point that out because, that's the part of continuous improvement and growth. So.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and there may come a time in the future where we can give this up and do that. But again, because of the state involvement, because of the potential federal involvement, because of the complexity of all of this, I understand why it is currently there. I hope you will come to us and let us know this is what's working, that's what's not. As a matter of fact, that's my expectation, because that's what you always do. Mm-hmm. And so I look forward to that. I did want to get in and get those two questions answered, but this is a vastly potted policy than we have, and it's a better written policy than when you first came to us, because I think the feedback was considered and adopted in a very considerate and considered manner, and I thank you for that.
Director Moore.
First of all, thanks to all the staff and all the stakeholders that collaborated on this. A lot of work, a lot of patience, and a lot of, I said it, but a lot of collaboration, and it shows in the thoughtfulness of what you've given us to approve. And with that, I think we're to a point, I just want to put a motion on the table to approve policy JKA.
Okay. We can still have the motion on the table and then finish discussion. Is there a second for that? And then, all right, so motion by Moore and then second by Myers, and we'll finish discussion. Yeah, I did, oh, shoot, yes. Second by, yes, Weiniger. There we go, got it. All right, Director Myers.
And I just wanted to also say thank you for graciously listening to the feedback from the board, going back to your team, having those discussions, looking over what we asked and getting the feedback. And these are not easy policies. And so, but I also want to thank you because I know how much we and you and your team value our children and our kids, and we want to get it right. So thank you. And the only other thing that I was thinking, as being in some schools and going through looking at, some of these departments and and I particularly had a friend when I walked into a school that was a teacher that had just experienced something with a student. And so I would, as one board member, like to definitely be in on a training, or maybe, I hate to put another lunch and learn in there, but maybe just an overview of what a training looks like and what's going, so we kind of know what's going on. And I mean, as a former teacher, just even having that, knowing those things.
Thank you. Director Thompson.
All right, so thank you to staff. I know that I've shared an email with you guys earlier, and I made points to talk about how this policy enhances student safety as well as how we intervene. And I think that's really important. Laws give us, in my opinion, in many cases, kind of the bare minimum that we should be operating at. And so whenever we have policies that really ask more than the bare minimum required by law, we're moving in the right direction. And that's a really nice space to exist in. So I feel like that's what this policy does. And so I'm very appreciative of it. I've lost a lot of sleep over this policy. I know you guys are all aware of how much stress the updates to this policy have put on me as well. I think that having a really good, solid policy to vote on tonight is important, and I am happy at where we are. My only feedback at this point is I just wanted to present to you guys just one small adjustment to the opening sentence. So typically, our policies start with an opening sentence that kind of describes the purpose of the policy. So some examples, JBA, the beginning sentence is the Board of Education is committed to the policy that no otherwise qualified student shall be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or subjected to discrimination under any district program or activity based off of disability, race, etc. So this is our non-discrimination policy. If we look at JRC, I think it's B. This is privacy and protection of confidential student information. It starts with the board is committed to protecting the confidentiality of student information obtained, created, or maintained by the school district. I move on to AC, non-discrimination equal opportunity policy. Again, it starts the district's committed to providing safe learning and work environment where all members of the community are treated with dignity and respect. ADB, educational equity. Again, the same thing. The school board is committed to establishing an inclusive culture to ensure all students, staff, and community members feel safe and valued, et cetera, et cetera. I think my point's being made. ADD, safe schools, the same thing. The Board of Education recognizes effective learning and teaching takes place in a safe, secure, and welcoming environment. So with that point, I would like to open this policy to make sure that we are always saying student-centered. To say the Board of Education is committed to fostering a safe, supportive, and inclusive learning environment for all students, and that this policy on the use of physical intervention and restraint is grounded in our dedication to student safety and dignity.
Director Meek?
Yeah. I like that, and I feel like it does align with the opening sentence, purpose sentence, and other policies. I'm wondering, we have a motion and a second, so I don't know if we need to move to amend the motion to include a sentence?
And then he can accept the amendment. Like, you could make a
Okay,
friendly amendment.
friendly
And then
amendment.
he could say, I accept that amendment.
So before doing that, I think that might be good.
All right, so then I would like to move to make a friendly amendment to update the first sentence to include the language that I stated, and I'm happy to restate
Does the
it.
district have any response before we?
Our recommendation was not to include that language for legal reasons, based on counsel, inside counsel and outside counsel. So that was our recommendation, but it's your policy, so.
I think that the opening phrase is to maintain a safe learning environment. So if there is something that the board wants for the Board of Education, in order for the Board of Education to maintain something to that. But other than that, staff's recommendation would not to be to alter the language.
Okay, Director Weiniger.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning toward keeping it as this is our third reading, and we've had many chances to try to get this right. And for little preferences in there, I mean, I think it's not a bad sentence to add, as long as it aligns legally with everything. But at this point, I feel like this is a good draft. It's good as is. Anything added to it is kind of what you personally want and not necessarily what we've gathered feedback on.
Superintendent Kane.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got a little, I'm just trying to make sure I've got everyone's feedback. So what Deputy Superintendent Hyatt said, again, we are all committed to a safe learning environment, and that kind of statement has grounded. So that language, a safe learning environment, is that language is consistent, but beyond that, we don't recommend alterations.
Director Thompson, sorry.
Okay. So just for clarity, we feel that having a student-centered statement at the beginning of this policy is not recommended because legal has told us it's not recommended to include this language. Like, I'm just making sure I have that clear.
A safe learning environment is good. Everything else can be open to interpretation, but without going into executive session, we don't want to be in a position of giving legal advice. So we just want this, our recommendation is to keep this policy as clear as possible for staff and families.
Okay, so my ask, I think, at this point, since I did share this in advance on a Saturday, I believe, so that if that's the case moving forward, that information be super clear. Thanks.
All right, so we have a motion on the table with a second. Do we have any other questions before we move to the vote? All right, Geiger.
Aye.
Meek.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Williams, aye. Weiniger.
Aye.
Great, passes 7-0. Moving on to JKAR, use of physical intervention and restraint. I do have just one comment, and I know, Director Geiger, you mentioned that you weren't in favor of handing this one over to staff, but I kind of view this as an administrative policy, so I just wanted to open it up for discussion to the board, because I think that if there are changes that need to be made, we always get those changes from the district. Those are sent directly to us every time those changes are made. And also that this gives them the ability to make changes quicker if they need to be made for any reason. So, Director Meek.
Yeah, I guess I just point out this is contrary to what we just said, that we had time to put this in there prior and the public hasn't had time to weigh in and share. So I feel like it's kind of contrary to what was just argued. I'm not sure I'm opposed to doing it. It just feels like it's contrary to what we just
Yeah, I mean,
argued.
it was a question that I had asked Superintendent Kane, and it was in the responses that she sent today, but I realized that I didn't come up with that question until recently, so there you have it. Director Geiger.
And again, as I said, I understand why in another circumstance, and sit tight, you okay?
I try.
Yeah, and this is the better version of Director Moore. He's been struggling with this. I think with the vast majority of our policies, that's the right response. And I'm not even sure I can fully explain why I think this one is important, other than the fact the state's so involved with it. The Department of Justice has contacted us about it. We're in the news about it. This is the one that I think, at least for the first time we take a run at it, I think changes are best brought to us for approval rather than later review. Again, if a year from now, and I'm trying not to refer to stuff that we've just heard that's not discussion, if a year from now it's all going great and the training's going great, then I would certainly be at the point where we could come back and review this. But given everything we've done, that we've told the public that this is going to be a board policy now, that we have people here advocating for that, and bluntly because there are a small number of people who don't yet trust us to do this right. I think it's best right now that those of us who are directly answerable to the public in every way should own this policy for now. That's my explanation for why I'm there. I think staff's going to do it well. I think they're going to handle it well. I want to make it clear that I think this policy is an exception to our standard practice. That's why I think it should stay as a board for now.
Director Moore.
Again, great work. Great work, everybody here too. Thank you for.
Oh, Superintendent Kane.
Yeah, I just want to follow my sword really fast because I did put in an update that we were thinking about suggesting making JKA-R and -E I can't even talk, a superintendent file, and then I lost track. So actually, that's on me. So anyway, I just needed to say that out loud. Thank you.
Director Moore.
At this point, I just, the fact that we're on second reading and so much work has gone into this, I just, for purposes of brevity, just make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion by Moore, second by Geiger. Any other questions, comments? All right. Geiger.
Aye with appreciation.
Meek.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Williams, aye. Weiniger.
Aye.
Great, passes 7-0. On to JKAE, Student Restraint Incident Report Form for our second reading. Thank you again. This looks amazing, like really amazing. I'm sorry, Deputy Superintendent Hyatt.
So one of the things that I mentioned is that on the report form, as the board considers voting on this, we would like to add under the location element, we would like to add in transport or a reference to transportation. So that would be an adjustment to this if the board is agreeable to that. So that would, I don't know if that includes an amendment to the form policy.
Okay. So you'll just add that after we approve it tonight?
If
So
you
with that
approve, if you approve
okay.
that change.
Yep, so with that amendment. All right, so with that amendment, do I have a motion?
So move.
Motion by Geiger with the amendment, second by Weiniger. Geiger?
Aye.
Meek?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Myers?
Aye.
Thompson?
Aye.
Williams? Aye. Weiniger?
Aye.
Great, passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 32 for our board budget discussion. This item was added because we saved some money with the election. And so I'll hand this over to the treasurer, Director Thompson.
All right, so this document just demonstrates our adopted budget so far for this year, what it looks like with its totals, along with the, we budgeted $330,000 for the election fees, and our invoice came out to $184,000. And just to note, that doesn't reflect that 337,800 number because we also had Elbert County in there as well. So, but anyways, the county lowered the amount due from $1 to 50 cents per voter, and so we have some savings. And so I did provide some options for what we could do with the savings. So one of them is we could just return to the general fund, and then if we could just scroll down. We do have a few items on our budget that could use adjustment. So, and thanks to Rane, our assistant secretary, for assisting me with this. So some of the examples are above, like transferring $20,000 to consulting services to cover our shortfall that we currently have there. Adding $8,000 to mileage reimbursements because we are anticipating to have that under budget. Offering additional professional development opportunities to board members. So as you know, we go to conferences, and I know that the national conference is on the plate, and our current budget is about $6,500, and we're anticipating, a higher cost for that. Adding a little bit more money to our supplies and food budget or item to support some of our community engagement efforts that we have coming up, as well as considerations if we want to update like the boardroom technology or any items in the boardroom. I'm not sure if there are things that come to mind for people, but one example that I thought about was if we're thinking about accessibility and if there's some technology that we should be considering to make our board meetings more accessible, like assisted listening devices, et cetera, if we don't currently have them already. So just some suggestions. I do strongly recommend the first few bullet points, or the first 4 bullet points. But it is obviously up for discussion with everybody here.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Director Meek.
Well, first, thank you, Director Thompson, for this. It's really helpful. I was giving this some thought as well, and I had two professional development ideas and one idea around investing more in elevating student voice and feedback from our board committees. So I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, making sure that we have a budget to maybe bring together our board committees this summer and have an engagement opportunity to really hear from them on their recommendations for priorities before board priority setting. I don't think these are big ticket items, but I think that would be something I'd really like to have us budget for. The other PD ideas that I had, I feel like we've put some great systems in place, and I feel like bringing a consultant in who understands policy governance to work with us on our community connections plan and monitoring those two areas. When I think about the role of the board and I think about our job, I like to just think there's three main jobs. One is connecting with our community so we understand their values for decision-making. So that's our community connections plan. And I think it's in place, but it would be really nice to get some outside expertise to give us some ideas on how we might improve and refine that. The second job is creating policy, and we spent the last year really putting policy in place. And then the third is the monitoring, and that's the piece that we're doing right now. And I think maybe bringing in an expert that might help us ensure that we can get those tightened up so that they really are just a routine process that we go through, ensuring accountability to our community, but not taking up, board meeting time, which frees up that time for us to be more forward-thinking. And I think we can get there, but I think this board has done a lot to put some systems in place. And I think getting an outside consultant to come in and spend a day with us to tweak some of those systems could pay off big time for us. So that's one PD idea. And then another professional development, and I've thought of this since I joined the board. We're making decisions, and we all have biases. And I know there are trainings around confirmation bias and implicit bias where we can have an expert come in and just do a training to help us think a little bit more about how we can make sure that we're doing our best when we make decisions. And so we all see this every day, the same exact article, and one person sees it one way, another person sees it a different way. And I think the beauty of our board is that we do have diverse perspectives already, but I always think there's room for improvement in helping us recognize our own confirmation bias and implicit biases. So those were some ideas for trainings that I would just love to hear if there's other individuals who think that might be beneficial.
Director Weiniger?
Yes, thanks, Director Thompson, for coming up with all these ideas and taking the time to list them out, because I would have had like one of these. I agree that it should first go to all of our shortfalls. And then as far as your ideas, Director Meek, I think from now until the end of the school year, we maybe can handle one day of a consultant doing one of those things. So I don't know if you want to just gather what each of us would prefer. I mean, I think the one that I would like to see more streamlined is the community connections, because right now that seems kind of like hard to plan that out as we wanted it to go. And it's one of our favorite things to do. So that's the one I would vote for personally.
Director Moore?
Yeah, I really appreciate Director Thompson crunching the numbers to see where we really had some shortfalls and places we needed to fix. And I support, honestly, the shortfalls you pointed out, and I support the additional professional development. I can't fathom that being terribly expensive, but I do see the value in that. I generally support all the different ideas that are here, and I don't have any new ones other than just the fiscal cheapskate, try to be responsible guy in me. Just anything we don't spend, I'm just in favor of going back to the general fund. So.
Superintendent Kane, did you have anything?
Yeah, thank you for asking. One suggestion that staff would have, and this doesn't have to come out of board budget, it could come out of contingency if you all are up for it, but we would love to see us shift from our current e-board software to more modern, updated software of board docs or something along those lines, which is what other metro area districts use. As you know, ours is a little perhaps wonky. Anyway, it's something for consideration. If we were to do something like that, it would probably be $80,000 to $100,000 in the first year just to get it implemented, because it's also our document archive for all of the historic board policies and updating dates and all that, which is another reason why it's important to have a modern system. So in any case, that would be one suggestion. The annual fee for a board docs would eventually be slightly more than the annual fee that we pay for our existing system. So really the year where we have that extra expense would be the year that we decide to implement it, if that's something that the board is interested in.
Director Moore and then Director Geiger.
Does that initial startup cost that you mentioned, does that include like all the data migration and everything? So then after that would sort of be one-time expense for the big part?
If it is all right with you, President Williams, I am going to ask Mr. Blair to weigh in because he is the expert. Ooh, I don't know if it's okay with him. Okay.
Yes, it would include, that would be the migration of all of our existing data. So that's why it would be a larger cost.
Microphone? You're going to need a microphone.
Thank you.
You're going to have to do it again.
They can't hear him.
Try to use my outside voice. So yes, the initial cost would be a little bit higher because it would include the migration of all of our existing content from in our current board doc solution to the new solution. And then in future years, that cost would come down because it would just be for licensing, support, and maintenance.
Director Geiger.
And because I am incapable at this point of doing math in my head, it looks like we saved $146,000, is that correct? Because I hate the board software with a flying passion, what I would suggest is, again, I think we need to pay our consultant. It seems like that's straightforward. And the mileage reimbursement, which takes $28,000 off the top, I would love to hear a more specific cost on a better board software, including one where if I want to save the documents, I don't have to click on each document, save it, rename it, and then download it, which
I don't understand why you don't like that.
I am 62 years old, folks, okay? I am edge of boomer. So find me a simpler way to do this. I would recommend at this point we not transfer to general fund, reconsider that later after we hear about updating the software. I'm all in favor of some professional development as well. So it sounds to me like we can do some of both of those.
I think it sounds like we can do all of that with the amount of money that we have. So I think we can look into doing that. Does that sound feasible, Director Thompson?
It sounds good to me, and I do want to make sure that I'm not taking too much credit here because I had a lot of support from Renee.
Thanks, Renee.
Who does a really nice job helping us stay on top of our board budget, and so I don't have a chance to praise her, so I just want to make sure we're praising her.
Thank you. Director Meek.
Yeah, so if I can go back to the calendar, we had 2 potential retreat dates, one in July and one in August.
So I think we had the one in August this last year because we were focused so hard on the ELs.
Yeah.
And so that isn't generally what we've done. We've usually done a July and then a December and then usually a February is general, so.
So I think what I was getting at, if we as a board tonight could pick a potential retreat date and then run it by our board committees over the next month to see if there's anything that's really going to prevent people from attending, that might be helpful. And I didn't know if maybe we wanted to run by two different dates, like the July 26th and the August 23rd, just to see if one would see better attendance than another.
We could do that. The only thing that I would say is generally in the July retreat, we come up with the board priorities that have to be in place usually by August when they start their meetings. So if we're waiting until the
Yeah.
23rd, that would,
So we'll just maybe run the July 26th date by our committees and say, this is what we're looking at, and see if there's anything that seems like it might make that a bad date. Does that sound like a good plan for us?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Superintendent Kane.
Yes, two quick questions. One, if you wanted to offer 2 dates in July, I'm sure you could do that. But two, just want to make sure we don't drop the ball. Let us know if we need to do anything for staff support or if you all will be asking your committee. So just want to make sure I don't drop the ball.
Well, I mean, I think I would love to know if Stone Canyon is available on the July date, if that's the July 26th date. If we
Great, I will do that.
If we can ask.
And again, this was just kind of modeled on a repeat of this year. Saturday was not picked for any particular reason other than you did it this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to have a further conversation about if you guys actually do want to do a Saturday in July, or if you want to do something else, or put 2 July options in front of your committees, because this is not, other than just that we tried to pattern it. So I didn't know if you wanted to have a further discussion about that.
Is July best for us? Or July, is a Saturday date best for us, given work schedules?
I kind of need Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think for, yeah.
Do we want to pick 2 Saturdays as options, or just leave it for July 26th? I know case happens that week, so I don't know if that might influence staff's availability. Probably not by Saturday. Yeah.
Superintendent Kane.
For what it is worth, I will be out of town on Saturday, July 19th.
Yeah, I will be too, so I can do the 26th. But we could also look at August 2nd if we wanted to. I don't know how that looks for everybody else, if we wanted to give 2 dates, but I'm fine just seeing how July 26th works for everyone. Want to just do July? All right, let's just stick with July. Yes. All right, do you need anything else, Director Thompson, or?
No.
Okay. All right, then we will move into Board of Education reports, item number 33, which is President reports. Our next meeting of the Board of Education is February 11th. Agenda planning for that meeting will be held this Thursday, January 30th at 10:30 at the Legacy Campus. Over the last couple weeks, we had, I guess, we had a board retreat on Saturday where we talked about legislative priorities, school readiness, and the majority of the meeting was spent talking about dyslexia. I just want to say thank you so much to staff for spending 3 hours of your Saturday with us so that we could ask you a ton of questions. And we're very much looking forward to our Lunch and Learn on February 5th. And I also want to say thank you to Amy from DC Kid for coming as well. And then last week, we had a DAC meeting where we talked about growth and decline, engaging SACs, and budget spending priorities, that survey that will go out. So that's all I had, but Director Weiniger.
We had an FOC meeting a couple weeks ago, and some main topics where they talked about on our board priorities one of the continue items was the citizens budget guide. And that's one of those items that hasn't necessarily been looked at or updated every year. And they were just kind of getting a feel on what the board expects around that. And Director Thompson and I were kind of like, well, it's kind of not really something we've talked about. So they kind of had their own discussion around it, and they'll probably set up a subcommittee that'll just focus on the budget of the school district and how to put that in a condensed, easy to digest version for citizens to read, just so that they can fulfill that priority. And we can, next year discuss if that is still something we want them to focus on. Which I think it's good we're involving them on priorities this time, because it's good to hear what we're putting forward makes sense to what they want to see too. And then another big topic of discussion was just legislative updates around what the budget will be for school finance next year, and how they keep wanting to make cuts to the schools, and the governor is mostly looking around enrollment, and that would be a huge cut to Douglas County. So very interesting to hear where more comes from there. And they're all interested in knowing as well in that committee. So, and then that's all I had. Tomorrow we have MBOC and I will be there. It's been a while, so everyone's excited to get going on hearing the bond and all the projects starting up around that.
All right, Director Moore.
No real report since the last board meeting.
All right, Director Geiger.
I did a board report on the Partnership of Douglas County Governments meeting. Yet another legislative update, that is what we do at this time of year. Lots of things that they are thinking about, not a lot that directly affect us. I did remind all of them to have their kids take standardized tests. So, and to encourage everybody else to do so, because we talked about that at the last meeting. The highlight of the month was that I got to attend the Eagle Academy graduation last Friday. The only problem with that graduation is that they always fail to bring me enough Kleenex. Astonishing people. Our Assistant Superintendent Windsor was there as well. It's just an amazing group. Wonderful people. Kids who have faced a lot of challenges, some self-inflicted and many societally inflicted, who have gone past that and have some amazing plans. So I love Eagle Academy. I love every graduation, but there were 17 kids. You get to shake every hand, hear every story. That's a special place, and it's a special graduation. So that was a good day.
Director Myers.
Last Wednesday, I was able to drop in at Douglas County High School and watch some wrestling matches. And I had a student that was in DCYI, that's one of our liaisons, that had been asking, and I'm glad I got there on time because she was the first to wrestle. So it was not only, and it was good to go see something like that, but on top of that, I'm just impressed with their sportsmanship in wrestling and the way they are with the coaches, that students greet the other coaches from the opposing team. So I was just impressed with the camaraderie, and there were boys on one mat and the girls over on the other. And then Director Meek and I had a SAG meeting last night, and Mr. Colella and Mr. Blair were there, gave an excellent presentation on AI and social media, and I know Director Meek will have some to say about it, but our kids were quite engaged, and they had some really good questions. So thank you. That was great.
Director Thompson.
Yeah, so Director Reiniger gave a nice update on FOC. And the only thing I would add was, and I don't think you said it, so it was just our CFO had mentioned to them about looking at some financial policy reviews, and that she was going to run them by the committee. And I just think that's really great engagement and a great way to utilize that committee. So looking forward to that. But overall, great meeting. Thanks for the coverage of that. And then also with the retreat, I know we didn't have a retreat debrief tonight, but But after our lunch and learn, I do think a future agenda item should just be a debrief of the retreat as well as the lunch and learn, just bringing it back to the board. One of the things I liked about the retreat is we talked about legislative priorities and just being more meaningful in our engagement and adding it to our agendas moving forward. So I think that was a really great conversation, and I like that new move that we're making. And I also think it's really great for the public to see some of the things happening at the state level that would impact our school district and just us having conversations around those things. So I think that's really important. The conversation around dyslexia and early reading risk was, I think, really an important conversation. I'm looking forward to what comes out of these conversations so that we do a great job at identifying our kids at risk of early reading failure. And and we'll reserve the rest for the next conversation. Thanks.
Director Meek.
Since the last board meeting, Director Williams already mentioned the District Accountability Committee meeting that we had, and Director Myers mentioned the Student Advisory Group. And again, the students were highly engaged with the presentation. It was a really, really good conversation. Again, I'm always thinking, how do we elevate their voices? And, you know, is that time best structured the way it currently is? And so I think that's something Director Myers and I can talk with the students a little bit more about. In addition to those, I attended the Foundation for Douglas County Schools meeting. Superintendent Kane gave a wonderful update there. They approved a new director for their board, Jake Miley, who helped out with all of the campaigns. So he has joined the foundation board. The Apple Awards coming up. I think all of us should have received an email. If you've not attended that event, I highly encourage you to attend. And I think we have a table there. Is this the 20th year? I think it's the 20th year. I remember it very fondly, and I highly, highly recommend attending that. And the only other thing I would mention, I've attended probably 3 different elementary schools, either staff or SAC meetings, and I gave those updates. Just trying to share what I'm hearing as I'm out listening to our community in that regard. And I will continue to do that as we go through this process. That's all I have.
Great. Well, do we want to add some agenda items? I mean.
Move to adjourn.
Oh, no, okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, okay.
Second.
Motion from Moore, second from Geiger. Geiger?
Aye.
Meek?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Myers?
Aye.
Thompson?
Aye.
Williams, aye. Weiniger? Aye. Passes 7-0. The board is now adjourned.